let us have a quick look and let me voice my frustration with Medal of Honor Above and Beyond, because heilige Kacke, this game is a mess. At a first glance, it is a pretty cool thing to get another Medal of Honor game, let alone one set in World War II, because, you know, back to the roots. Medal of Honor was one of the franchises that shaped my understanding of PC gaming. Several of my earliest memories in regards to first-person shooters revolve around storming Omaha Beach, fighting through the hedgerows of the French countryside, and skirmishing in the snowy streets of Stalingrad in Medal of Honor games. Reliving such memories in VR in a modernized setting is a tantalizing thought for me.
Okay, that's a piece of shrapnel.
We had to report for the draft.
It was something we had to do.
Connaissez deux personnes, c'est une de trop.
You want to hear the rest of the story?
Yes, I would like to hear the rest of your story and the stories of your brothers in arms. Respawn Entertainment paired the game with a documentary. The documentary itself, while not VR, is very fine and is not part of this critique. What the trailer kind of suggests though, with the inclusion of the documentary footage, is that the game closely revolves around reliving their stories, which it is not really, if anything loosely based on real events. It's overdrawn, silly, and often way too broken. And in many occasions the game just dissolves into this. When I first saw the trailer, I didn't know about any of these problems. So, I was excited. So when given the opportunity by a colleague of mine, I jumped at it and fired up Medal of Honor Above and Beyond. Saying it was a mixed bag is an understatement, because the game is bad. I had high hopes for it. Hearing of the idea and hearing that it was developed by Respawn Entertainment, the creator of such amazing games as Titanfall, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order and Apex Legends, one would imagine these guys know how to create a decent game. Unfortunately, they seem to have bitten off more than they can chew. Medal of Honor Above and Beyond is not their first outing on the Unreal Engine 4, and while they created gorgeous environments in Jedi Fallen Order, this game is absolutely hit and miss. It is the opposite of Jedi Fallen Order. Here, they never achieve the vibrant and gorgeous looks of other games, let alone the looks of other VR titles, such as Half-Life Alyx. And yes, Alyx is the gold standard of VR right now. It is a fixed point for a reason, not only visually, but gameplay-wise as well. Valve wanted to play it relatively safe with Alyx. A carefully crafted adventure, easing people into VR, fun to play for gaming veterans and newcomers alike. Medal of Honor Above and Beyond, on the other hand, wanted to be more dynamic, more geared towards people who have already experience with VR. It is more action-loaded and, most important of all, maybe more of a classic shooter with running and gunning. Not like Call of Duty, but a shooter with more tactical movement and positioning. You don't stand around so much, you really need to move and get into cover and get out of cover. This Medal of Honor can be really fun, when it works as intended. But sadly, the when is written in all caps, because most of the time it doesn't really work as intended. Fast reloads with repositioning, dynamically taking cover, leaning around cover and shooting around the corners was never as fun as in this game, but everything else around it just seems half-baked. The world looks unpolished. The character models look unfinished, plasticky and kind of uncanny. They have incredibly odd, sometimes creepy facial expressions. The animations are choppy at best, looking like they were copy and pasted from old video games from the 90s. You have enemies sliding at you, rotating on point or just glitching out. That's all no uncommon sight. Several times I wondered about the presentation style. You walk up to a briefing table. Instead of immediately going into the cutscene, the game fades to black. Then the cutscene starts. Transitions between sets is another bewildering thing to me. You are here on the back of this truck, listening to a little speech, before heading into a building behind you, the one from the aforementioned briefing. But instead of jumping off the truck and going in through the door, it fades to black and teleports you inside. And things like this that rip you out of the already very thin veil of immersion are just disappointing. But maybe they do it because jumping off the truck and walking in so much would give you motion sickness. Well, very unlikely. Moments before, they had you do a rather fast-paced rail shooter on a speeding truck. If that doesn't give you motion sickness, this jump off the truck won't hurt. Okay, but maybe they couldn't create such a big open world. The technology is very demanding, so they couldn't let you just wander off. Interesting you bring that up, Mr. Strawman. Just moments later, this entire area is open for you to move around in. Speaking of demanding technology, this game is gigantic, demanding you dedicate a significant amount of hard drive storage space to it. Or better, SSD, because yeah, the game has some difficulties with loading sometimes. These system requirements are simply not justified for a game that looks so simplistic. I really like how they just pushed this model of a pile of dirt through the rock. Peak modern graphics. Looking great. We ran the game on a 2080 Ti, and we still got frame rate issues. Later that evening I even turned off the capture software when I played it. That helped, but still the frame rate dropped into single-digit numbers from time to time, and not even during high action sequences. The game is highly unpolished, and even the almost hour-long tutorial sequence is riddled with audio glitches.
Here's Specialist Lamouche to help demonstrate some advanced weapon handling. Here's Specialist Lamouche to help demonstrate some advanced weapon handling.
Yeah, that's a great introduction to the game. People floating around? Not an uncommon sight. Little nitpick, but a lot of Germans wearing American helmets here. And for some reason, no one really responds to anything I do.
Guten Tag, yes. I like your American helmets, German soldiers. For some reason, you are also wearing a American helmet. Very good. You guys are wearing German helmets. Nice. Very unusual.
Your choices don't seem to matter in the campaign and in the cutscenes when you just fool around. Everyone is bulletproof until they randomly aren't. The game really manages to not make you care at all. And yeah, I'm not talking about the story because it's a random World War II story. If you haven't heard about World War II, yeah, grab a history book. I think I can't spoil that much. Hintity hint hint. The Allies win in the end. If you come from Half-Life Alyx, one is used to controls that are most of the time totally on point. This game can be more than a little janky. Here, you are supposed to raise your arms into the air because you surrender, until the game suddenly decides to plop a rifle into your hands. Awesome! Out-of-body experiences are nothing uncommon. Your body tends to sometimes just lag behind you. Really immersive. And speaking of immersion, while you're wearing a VR headset, standing in the middle of your room, emphasis on standing, the game decides to introduce you to the world while laying wounded on the battlefield, next to some dude and Harry Potter. You stand, yet the perspective you are in, on the ground, leaning against a wrecked tiger tank. Immersion killing. It's really off, and then you sometimes just don't line up with your neck. About 3 hours into the game, I just completely lost interest. This is the reason why this isn't a full review, because I just couldn't be bothered to play it anymore. It was just annoying. Coming from Half-Life Alyx, this game just seems so unfinished and sadly a waste of time. In situations where the game works as intended, it can be really fun. I gotta give them that. The base idea is fun. The action can be a real thrill, but the glitchy and unpolished technology constantly throws sand into your gearbox, forcing the immersion machine to a grinding halt. That would have been a clever pun for a review of a Gearbox game. Gotta write that down. The game is massively unpolished, incredibly glitchy, overly demanding on your hardware, and all in all, the worst Medal of Honor game in the series. A series that has been sitting on death row for a while now. Medal of Honor above and beyond just adds insult to injury. They should have renamed it to Medal of Honor Sir Chadwell Heath. Unfortunately, this game is something I would only come back to nitpick historical mess-ups or if I had no other VR game to play. It all looks like a game concept Respawn came up with and showed it to some higher up, and they just said, cool, release it as it is. Some idiot will buy it. Absolute wasted potential, the game is unfinished as it is, and even for fans of VR, no, I can't recommend it. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, you know what to do. Give it a like, consider subscribing for future content, and maybe even support us on Patreon, as our supporters there got to see this video well in advance. As always, I am interested in reading your opinions in the comment section down below, and I am happy to personally respond. Our gratitude goes to all Patreon supporters: Lone Wolf, Zed Gladys, Wrapped in Glass, Cookie, Uncle Digi, welcome back by the way, Harrison Steffens, Plasma, Brass Jazz, Tome, Rainbow Flash, Grizzlywer, Strange Module, Mr. Internator, Tainser, and DX9. To them and everyone else, thanks for watching. Hopefully, see you guys next time. Until then, have a nice day, and as always, goodbye and guten Tag.
Shall we pick up this civilian? He will be very thankful. Yes? No? Okay. How about we pick up your SS friend over here with this lovely fingernails and... Okay, no? Herr Kommandant, would you like an avocado? Kaboom! No? Oh,